Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl moveset guide. Today's video is going to be all about Bastiodon, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Bastiodon is a Rock-Steel type Pokemon with access to two abilities, the first of which being Sturdy, which is an ability that functions the exact same way as the Focus Sash item, in that when this Pokemon is at full health, it cannot be KO'd by any single attack from an enemy. As for its secondary ability, though, is known as Soundproof, which is an ability that blocks any sound moves from affecting this Pokemon, such as Roar, Hyper Voice, or Bug Buzz, just to name a few. But moving on to its stats, defensively, this Pokemon has a fairly low HP stat, being only base 60, but massively high physical and special defense stats, with a base 168 physical defense and 138 special defense, allowing it to take hits extremely well from physical and special attackers. Though do keep in mind that it does have a 4-time weakness, 2 ground and also fighting type moves, which are very common attacking types. As for its offenses, though, it only possesses a base 52 physical attack and 47 special attack, meaning that it's not going to be doing too much damage on its own, and its base 30 speed stat makes this Pokemon incredibly slow, so don't expect it to be a sweeper anytime soon. But the most important thing that this Pokemon unfortunately no longer has as a result of the changing of the games is that Bastiodon no longer has access to Toxic, which I am sure I'm going to bring up a few other times in this video, as that was the main way for this Pokemon to deal damage as a result of its offenses not being that great. Now previously, this Pokemon was an NU Pokemon in the original Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum games, and since then, having lost Toxic, I actually think Bastiodon might be even worse since then, but only time will tell as far as its tier placement is concerned. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to begin by running Bastiodon as a specially defensive wall. So we're going to start off by giving it either a Careful Nature to boost its special defense but lower its special attack, or a Sassy Nature to boost its special defense but lower its speed stat. And for the ability, we're going to be running Sturdy. As for the EVs, we're going to maximize our HP and our special defense with 252 EVs into both of those stats, and put the remainder 4 into its defense. And for the item on the set, we can either go with Leftovers for that really great passive recovery at the end of every turn, or go with a more defensive berry in the form of a Shucka Berry to reduce the damage of a super effective ground type move, or a Chopal Berry to reduce the damage of a super effective fighting type move. But moving on to this Pokemon's moves themselves, the first one that we're going to go with on the set is going to be Stealth Rock, which is an amazing option for this Pokemon as it allows it to set up hazards on its opponent's side of the field and deal some good passive damage every single time its opponent's Pokemon switch in. Alongside this, we're going to go ahead and run a offensive stab rock type move in the form of either Rock Blast or Rock Tomb. Rock Blast having the potential to be the stronger option, but Rock Tomb also having that really nice effect of lowering an opponent's speed stat, which can be very beneficial once you switch out Bastiodon, as it could allow another team member to outspeed something that it normally wouldn't be able to. Alongside this, though, for our secondary attack, we can go ahead and run either Body Slam, which is a great attack that has a 30% chance to paralyze to allow this Pokemon to support its teammates even further with that paralysis, or run another stab attack option in the form of Iron Head. Finally, for the last move slot, we can go ahead and run Metal Burst, which is a rather interesting option that makes it so that this Pokemon is able to dish out 1.5 the damage of an attack that it took, which can be very useful alongside the Shucka or Chopal Berry potentially, but also just as a way of allowing this Pokemon to deal a little bit more damage than it normally would be able to, as it will sponge a hit and actually dish out some damage back in return, which can be very, very beneficial for allowing this Pokemon to take something out it normally wouldn't be able to. Alongside this, though, we can also run Roar as a way of phasing opponents out and shuffling them around, or running Protect to give this Pokemon the option of scouting its opponent's moves, while also getting some passive recovery in the process if you're running the Leftovers item. Now, obviously, with this moveset, we can also run it physically defensive, so taking a look at that now, the only thing we really do is change up the nature in the EVs here. So we can either go with a Relax Nature to increase your physical defense but lower your speed stat, or an Impish Nature to increase your physical defense but lower your special attack, and then change up the EVs to be 252 HP, 252 defense, and 4 special defense. The other thing I also want to make note of is that since your offenses aren't really that great, you don't even have to run a stab option, and you can go with some of the other more interesting attacks that this Pokemon learns, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but just to name a few, you can go with either Earthquake or Flamethrower or Ice Beam if you want a more specific move depending upon what your opponent might be up against. But really, the sky's the limit as far as what you want to run for an offensive move, but running a stab option is generally the best go for a moveset like this. Moving on to a more physically offensive moveset, We're going to go ahead and run this one with an adamant nature to increase its physical attack and lower its special attack. And again, go with the ability, sturdy, and an EV spread this time, maxing out its HP and physical attack with 252 EVs in both of those, and putting the remainder 4 into its speed stat. Now you might be wondering why even bother running a physically offensive set on this Pokemon, because it is such a low physical attack. And the real reason is because this Pokemon is very naturally bulky, so giving it the option to at least do some damage is a very good idea in many cases, and thus allow it to be a little bit more threatening. It also makes it so that this Pokemon is less susceptible to be set up on, because things can generally set up a substitute on Bastiodon without any worry or risk, because Bastiodon has a lot of difficulty breaking substitutes, and unless you're running Roar, you have really no way of dealing with that. But for the item on the set, you can either augment your physical attack further by running a choice band to boost your physical attack while locking you into a move, or you can retain its passive recovery through using the leftovers item. But as for the moves, the first one we're going to go with on the set is going to be Stone Edge to be your powerful stab rock type move, and then we're going to go ahead and run Iron Head to be your powerful stab steel type move. Now this Pokemon also does run Heavy Slam, but it is not significantly heavier than a lot of things like some other Pokemon that would run Heavy Slam, like Aggron to name one. So generally, Iron Head is a little bit more of a better option for this Pokemon because it's more consistent damage against the things it's up against. Furthermore, we're going to go ahead and run Earthquake as a really nice coverage option for your ground type attack. And then for your last move slot, we can either go fully offensive and run Avalanche, which you could also replace with any of the other moves on the set if you'd like, but we can also just go ahead and run Stealth Rock there as well, because it's going to give you an option to set up those hazards that are so important, and just run Bastion a little bit more physically offensive alongside its utility and being able to set hazards up. Finally, on the flip side of things, we're going to be running this last moveset as a specially offensive Bastiodon. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a modest nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack. Run the sturdy ability again, and for an EV spread of 252 HP EVs, 252 special attack EVs, and 4 speed EVs to max out its special attack and HP. Alongside this, we can go ahead and run Choice Specs as an item this time to boost our special attack even further while locking us into a move, or go with Leftovers just for that passive recovery that we get at the end of every turn, which is very beneficial because this Pokemon still, even on a more specially EV'd set, can be run very effectively as a wall against your opponent's team. But for the first move on the set, we're going to go ahead and run Flash Cannon to be our main Steel-type stab move, and alongside this, we're going to go ahead and run Fire Blast and Ice Beam for really amazing type coverage that allows this Pokemon the ability to match up against things that it normally wouldn't have an advantage over, which is very, very nice. Finally, for the last move slot on this moveset, we can go ahead and run Thunderbolt for an additional electric type coverage option, which again is very unexpected with this Pokemon, or go ahead again and run Stealth Rock for that ability to set up hazards, even on a set where we are investing more so into our special attack. And again, as previously mentioned, this isn't necessarily to turn Bastiodon into a special sweeper, it's just to turn it into a Pokemon that can do a little bit more than just kind of set up hazards and tank for your team. But overall, this set offers quite a bit more coverage than the physical one. It's a little bit weaker in terms of damage output because its physical attack is slightly higher than its special attack, but this offers a lot more interesting coverage and can be very useful against members of your opponent's team. So with that, everybody, that is it for this video on Bastiodon. I hope you all enjoyed. As previously mentioned, this Pokemon's main flaw now is that it no longer has access to Toxic, which was the primary way that it was able to deal damage against opponents. So running some of these sets are still great ways to use this thing, but unfortunately it lost its main tool for dealing damage, but we can still make do with that based off of what you've already seen in this video. So as always, everybody, thank you all for watching. Take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.